Hello, everyone. I'm Steve Crawford. Welcome back to the 7-Minute Spotlight. This is where we share stories, ideas, and concepts for encouragement and inspiration. And today's story that I'm going to share is one that I really enjoy sharing. I've actually been sharing this for about 15 years now. It's something that really not only helped me just very tangibly, but also just as a way to inspire me and remember the good things that can happen in life and how we can actually share that with others. When Mary and I moved to the St. Louis area with our sons, it was 1988, and I took a job at that time with a company called Roberts Express. I was a recruiter for them. And in moving here, though, one of the places that we enjoyed to eat was kind of a crazy thing, it might seem like, but we would go to the food court at the mall, and they had a Chinese restaurant there. I like Oriental food, and this place was particularly good. So we ate there quite a bit, and I got to know the owner in that you see people all the time. You go back to the same establishments and you start to recognize people, they recognize you. And even though you haven't exchanged names yet, you have a connection. And the food was really good. And he always was very cordial. You come back and see me. Always enjoyed going there. And then one time I went there and I noticed he was very agitated. And I asked him what was wrong. Well, they had terminated his lease along with a bunch of others at the food court. They were repurposing the area and he had to close up. And again, he had this broken English. He was from Taiwan. And he said, "You come see me at my other store." And I asked him where it was. It's just the next town over. So I kept that in mind. Well, as life progressed, I ended up leaving that job after about 3.5 years, started my own business, and I was doing some of my own driving, frequented there once in a while, just stopping in with my vehicle. But once I got started with RPS, which subsequently became FedEx Ground, I was driving locally. I had a short trailer that I pulled, so there was room in his parking lot, and I started eating there more frequently. And he took notice. He knew I was in business, but saw that I was driving a truck, and he'd ask me a lot of questions about what I do, and I would listen to him. And he always had great stories. I mean, it's just there's something about stories that is just so much fun to listen to. And his name was Wee Chang. He's a little bit older than me. And he would tell me things that are very important. He said, "Steve, very important, you know this." And one of the things is he came here to America in 1985. He said, "I have no money. I have no English." And he put himself through college, got an MBA in finance, ends up speaking 6 languages. And so stopping in and talking with him, we built this wonderful relationship. But going there was like going to financial school. I learned so much over chicken fried rice and chicken with vegetables and whatever it would be as Wee Chang, and he preferred actually being called Old Man Chang. He explained to me that in his country that elders are actually revered and respected, and he actually considered it an honor if you called him Old Man Chang. So I would stop in at Chang's restaurant, and we just had all kinds of discussions. And coming out of South Dakota and rebuilding our life here, I had been in a business deal up in South Dakota. There's some things that just didn't go well. Probably the biggest problem was my own foolishness and stupidity, being young and trying to take on too much. Went through bankruptcy, and I was recovering and got to the point where I could borrow money to get trucks, but I didn't have any operating capital. And at that time, this is before direct deposit, I would go into work on Friday to get my route going and everything. Mary would come in. I would give her the check from FedEx. I had my paychecks for the drivers, and Mary would take the check to the bank, call me and tell me the check was in the bank, and then I would hand out the checks to the drivers. It was that thin. And I just needed a little bit of breathing room. So I asked Chang if he knew of a banker that he could introduce me to. I wasn't asking for a favor from him, just if he would make an introduction. And he said, "Well, how much do you need?" I told him $5,000. He says, "Wait a minute." He goes back to his office, comes back with 50 $100 bills, counts them out on the table, has me sign a paper napkin. I owe Chang $5,000. I wish I still had that napkin today. Well, I paid him back with interest over the course of a year, and it really helped my business get over the hump. But like Paul Harvey used to say, now for the rest of the story. About 5 years later, I was in his store and just having a conversation. I said, "You know, Chang, I want to thank you again for helping me back 5 years ago or whatever the time was, for helping me when you did. It was really important. It was really necessary, and I haven't forgotten it. I really appreciate it. And as usual, he'd say, Steve, very important, you know this. And then he said, you stuck in mud, I help you out of mud, you not jump back in mud. And if I think about that, it's kind of hilarious, but it's really the truth. And I think we need more of that in our world and in our culture today. I think we need to help people get out of the mud when they're stuck. I think we also need to be smart enough to not jump back into the mud when we are in trouble. And so what is the whole purpose of this story, and what did I learn, and what can we learn? Well, number one, when I say in trouble, I needed help. And he was willing to step in and take a risk and help me out. I had to ask, he helped, and then I used that as a stepping stone to continue our success. I'm in a position now, and have been, where I can help others. And I'm not saying this to brag. It's just that sometimes we're in a position, and our purpose in life is to be helped. Other times we have to help others. A friend of mine that had worked for me for a while, his name was Dan Gordon, had told me that he heard a sermon once from his pastor at his church that said, sometimes in order to be a good giver, you have to be a good receiver. So sometimes we're on the receiving end, and we're actually honoring the other people by allowing them to help us. And then we're also in a position where we can help them. So that's it for today. That story I've been telling for 15 years. It means that much to me. But it might be that I would not be here today to share the story with you if it was not for Old Man Chang coming in and help. And all of us have the opportunity to be Old Man Chang. You might have a similar story. If you do, would you please reach out to us, share it with us? It's something that we may want to talk about in the future. It's always good to acknowledge the good things that happen in our life and recognize the people that have helped us. Again, we love to hear from you. If you have any comments or suggestions, please send us a message at steve@stevecrawford411.com. We love having you listen to us. We love hearing from you. God bless you all. Have a good week.